This is Expert Advantage, a behind the scenes look at how JD Power experts help clients turn actionable market intelligence into strategic advantage. I'm your host, Michael Vermillion with JD Power, and today I'm joined by Patrick Roosenberg, Senior Director in our Auto Finance Customer Solutions practice. Patrick, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
So why don't we just dive right in? What's the thing that's really keeping leaders in this industry up at night right now?
I think there are two main topics that are really resonating with leaders, right? And it's really revolves around fraud, which is growing exponentially, accelerated by artificial intelligence, but also from a consumer point of view, affordability. And those are the two real major topics. Another topic that's bubbling up more and more, not just with auto finance, but within several financial areas, is the financial health of the customer base as well.
So you've got over 30 years of experience in the auto finance industry, 10, actually 11 years with JD Power. So kind of given that depth of experience and expertise, if you could correct one widely held belief about this space, what would it be?
Um, I think what's changing and evolving more from a dealer lender perspective is more of a collaborative relationship that's being cultivated in what the dealers are looking for. Transactional relationships really don't grow business opportunities. Dealers are really looking to have collaborative partners with their lenders, whether that's the captive lender or their banks or their credit unions. They're really looking to say, how can we work together to really bridge what's going on specifically around affordability? How do we create the best structure for not only for the dealer and the lender, but also more importantly for the consumer?
Okay, so what's really driving the need, to make that happen?
It's the vehicle prices, but it's not just an isolation of the vehicle prices and the monthly payments. What I think the industry is doing and what it needs to do more of is looking at the totality of vehicle ownership. With the escalation in insurance prices, the fuel prices up, the vehicle prices themselves are up, and also just understanding the total impact of that monthly payment of insurance, fuel, vehicle. And then we have to start looking at repair history of the vehicle as well, because that'll all play in the role of affordability, because all of those things have been going up in price quite a bit over the last several years post-COVID. So we need to start to look at payments not in isolation, but in the totality of ownership.
Hmm. So total cost of ownership.
Yes.
Well, so let's now connect the dots from that back to JD Power data. So what can you see in JD Power data that companies can't see on their own?
I think what we're starting to really define and understand better is the different journeys of customers based on their current financial health, whether they're financially healthy, vulnerable, stressed, or overextended. Is understanding the differences in those customers' needs, how they make their payments, how they receive their invoices, and then how lenders, whether it's captive or non-captive, really interact with those customers in order to help them if they do come upon any kind of hardships, whether that's a layoff or job loss. It's really how they can work with those customers based on their current financial health situation to keep them in good standing with the vehicle. Because ultimately, the lenders do not want those vehicles back. They
Hmm.
really want to keep customers in the vehicles and do everything what's in their power to make sure that that customer stays in good standing.
Okay, so let's bring it to life with an example. So, can you name a name? Can you describe a situation with a client or a subscriber where they really got this right and what unlocked it? We don't need to name names.
Right. Now, I think what's happened in the last several years, we've gone to the industry and we've identified these different type of financial health situations for consumers. It really allows them to understand how those customers are going to perform, but also what channels they continuously make their payments or they manage their accounts. That's really, and then focusing on ease of use and awareness when it comes to those channels, and just understanding how you approach those consumers who might be financially stressed, overextended, or vulnerable, applying high levels of customer service to them, providing empathy, understanding their individual situation. We can no longer, as an industry, treat customers as a one size fits all when it comes to a strategy, as it pertains to servicing those customers. We know that there are different journeys based on their current financial health, and then enhancing that and really focusing on how they can help that consumer. There are several lenders, both captive and non-captive, that are taking much deeper dives into financial health
Hmm.
to order to keep their customers in good standing. But it also helps them as well, because when you help a customer out based on their current situation, you're increasing their satisfaction, you're increasing their loyalty back to the brand, and you're having a greater chance that they're going to stay within a good standing of their loan or lease. And it also ultimately it cuts the cost to serve that customer. Once you start to you work with them and you get them back on the right track, that's going to reduce your cost to serve that customer. Same thing with when we continue to develop digital channels for customers to make their payments, to maintain their accounts, really focusing on easing friction points. Not only does that create greater customer satisfaction, but also reduces the cost to serve. So there's a double win to that. Customers are happier, and for the lenders, there's a lower cost to serve those customers.
Terrific, Patrick. I just want to double click for a minute on the work that you do with our clients and subscribers. Where does your judgment as an industry expert and an expert on JD Power data really come into play that the numbers alone can't solve?
Right. Well, I think where my strengths really lie is in operational experience. We have the research and we have the data, but what is my responsibility is to put an operational view on it from a lender's perspective, to understand what's feasible, what's not feasible, what makes sense from the research. I think looking at through that lens really provides a very common dialogue with whether it's the C-suite or senior management with our clients.
So let's go back to the kind of the business impact conversation. We started talking about this a little bit earlier when you talked about lowering costs to serve, reducing friction, increasing customer satisfaction. So how does that map back eventually to the P&L in terms of either higher revenue, growth, profitability?
Well, by reducing, you're really reducing your operational expenses
Okay.
on some of these customers, right? That's what it really comes down to. Ultimately, too, there's a couple things. You can lower your, you know, uh, repossession rate. You can also lower your delinquency rate by providing high levels of service to your customers, but by identifying their current financial situation and providing them with all the options that are available to them. That's really where it comes in. And then also, just from a risk modeling point of view, right? If you can reduce your risk cost as well. So there are several areas that can be focused on when we look for efficiencies. And again, and not only does it reduce ultimately the cost to serve, reduces the risk profile of those customers in some extent, or it maintains that profile without it escalating to greater depths of risk. So I think that's where the value comes in. There are multiple areas. It's not just one area that has impact or is affected by it. It really does reduce the overall risk of those customers.
So Patrick, you've been working in this industry for over 30 years and over a dozen years now with JD Power, where you're working with our subscribers and our clients. So there's something about this that you like. What makes you passionate about this industry?
Well, I think what really drives me is I like the engagement with the senior management and the C-suite within our clients, right? Every one of our clients are extraordinarily engaged, whether it's based through the consumer study or the dealer studies. They are extraordinarily active. They're proactive. When they get the feedback from the dealers, when they get the feedback from the consumers, they take action steps immediately in order to increase customer satisfaction, increase dealer satisfaction. So that's what I really enjoy, is being able to provide them insight into how their dealers feel or how the consumers feel, and they really make tactical plans to improve that experience from both of those channels.
Okay, so just to wrap up, for someone who's perhaps a leader and either watching this video or listening to this podcast, and they can only take one thing away from today's conversation, what would it be?
I think it's the evolution of what's going on in the industry, and there are different aspects of it, right? We're talking whether or not we're looking to extend leasing to go to 48 months, 60 months, right? The continuous of the digital transition, of getting more customers into the digital channels, getting them away from the traditional channels, paper invoices, check payments, right? Also, just a digital experience in the overall origination of the loan or lease as well. I mean, that's really where we're seeing, the industry continue to evolve. Plus, we know now that more consumers than ever have access to information, and they are aware of they are more aware now than of their choices than they've ever have been.
Well, Patrick, that was terrific. Thanks so much for joining us today.
All right, thank you, Mike.
And I want to thank our viewers and our listeners as well for joining us on Expert Advantage. If you're looking to turn actionable market intelligence into strategic advantage, JD Power's experts are here to help. I'm Michael Vermillion, and we'll see you next time.